Have you ever wondered how basketball shoes went from this to this? Well, today we're going to break it down, that being the history of sneakers in the NBA. We're going to go all the way back to the shoes that they were first wearing when the NBA first began, all the way to shoes that they're wearing today. And some of these shoes that they used to hoop in is pretty crazy. Let's dive in. Back in the day, hoopers weren't lacing up high-tech kicks. No. They were rocking Converse Allstars. So let's pause right here and look at my guy right here. He is wearing high-top, all-black Converse Allstars. But before they were called the Converse Allstars, they were referred to as the non-skids. That sounds like a shoe you would wear in like a kitchen or if you worked at a fast food restaurant. But then came this guy, a semi-pro basketball player named Chuck Taylor. If that name rings a bell, it's because Chuck Taylor is now what's written on every Converse All-Star. Chuck Taylor. And once he stepped in, that's kind of changed the game. And from then on, it wasn't just Converse All-Stars. Everyone was wearing the Chuck Taylors, or as we call them nowadays, Chucks. That was from the 1910s all the way through the 1960s. Chuck Taylors, Converse All-Stars is what they were wearing back then. Now we step into where things start to modernize a bit. So now we're in the 1970s. Although the Converse All-Star is a shoe that you will still see on several people's feet today, it started to become way less prevalent in the NBA. In the early 1970s, we started to see this brand come up on the scene. Out of Europe, Adidas. The most popular silhouette that you were seeing on basketball players in the early 70s was the Adidas Superstar. Some notable players that were signed by Adidas in the early 1970s were George Gervin, George Irvin, and probably the most popular, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. All were Adidas signed athletes that wore the Adidas Superstar for a lot of their career. In 1972, there was this little company named Blue Ribbon Sports, and some of you may not know what I'm referring to. This company later became known as Nike, and Nike started to make moves with the Nike Bruins and the Nike Blazers, but the real game changer didn't happen until the 1980s. And if you've been following my channel for a while, I'm sure you know what shoe and what man that I'm alluding to. In 1985, we get the Jordan 1. A young kid out of Wilmington, North Carolina named Michael Jordan, arguably the most popular, well-known man of all time, comes into the NBA, wears these shoes, and it shakes the entire game. Prior to Michael Jordan wearing his all-famous black and red Jordan 1, all shoes that you saw on players were primarily white and black unless they were all white and had the color of that team on it. Michael Jordan was the first player to step out wearing a black and red shoe or black shoe with his team color on it. This was unheard of at the time, so the NBA actually chose to fine Nike and Michael Jordan $5,000 every game he wore these shoes. But Nike saw that and said, keep wearing them. Let's go with this.
On September 15th, Nike created a revolutionary new basketball shoe. On October 18th, the NBA threw them out of the game. Fortunately, the NBA can't stop you from wearing them. Air Jordans from Nike.
Nike paid every fine that Jordan wears those shoes, and in 2 months, In just 2 months of the Jordan 1 being out, they did $70 million in sales. And the Jordan 1 is still arguably the most popular shoe of all time. From that moment on, sneakers weren't just shoes, they were a statement. Now fast forward for just a year, 1986, a brand we talked about before wanted to reach for it one last time, Converse, with the Converse weapons. They knew Michael Jordan was widely popular with Nike. That was the best decision that Nike and Jordan could have ever made because it quite literally changed the shoe game and fashion forever. But with Converse and the Converse weapons, they chose the 2 NBA All-Stars that had been reigning the league years before Jordan came in. So they chose their mascots to be Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
I heard Converse made a pair of Bird shoes for last year's MVP.
Yep.
Well, they made a pair of Magic shoes for this year's MVP.
Okay, Magic, show me what you got.
The Bird Shoe, the Magic Shoe. Choose your weapon from Converse.
And yes, while Jordan was superior in the sneaker market, the Converse weapons were a very popular shoe that you would see on several kids in the 80s all the way up to the late 90s. And trust me, as someone who owns a sneaker store, there are people that come in and are like, hey, you got any of those Converse weapons? They're usually just joking and they're usually older people, but I'm like, I don't have any, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I got plenty of Jordans though. And in the 90s and the 2000s, we got even crazier technology in shoes. The Reebok pumps, the T-Max, aka Tracy McGrady's shoe, and of course, the Kobe line, the low tops that changed the game of sneakers forever and what majority of players wear nowadays. Today's sneakers have features like Zoom Air, Boost, carbon fiber plates, we're talking about shoes here, not cars, and even self-lacing sneakers. We got a glimpse of this from Back to the Future.
Power laces, all right.
But yes, shoes players actually play in, self-lace. We are living in the future. From Chuck Taylors to Jordans to Kobe's, needless to say, sneakers have came a long way. Not only in the NBA, but also what we see wearing on our feet every day. And a lot of them are still prevalent, as crazy as that is. But I gotta ask, of course, what's your favorite shoe of all time? Let me know in the comments down below. Hey, if you love sneakers as much as I do, then hit that like button, subscribe, turn that post notification bell on. I had such a fun time making this video. I didn't want to spend too much time in the modern shoes because, I mean, that's what we're living in now. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.